Chris Broussard is now joining us live. Yeah, it's funny. Jamal Murray's fascinating. I don't even know what you do with him historically. I don't remember a player that was so much better in the playoffs when you face better teams and better players than the regular season. I don't know what he's going to land as, but like Devin Booker's going to get more money and get more love. What do we make of Jamal Murray, the player? What do we make of him? What is he?
I'll tell you this. This is where he'll land if they win this championship in the Hall of Fame. Now, I know people will say, well, he's got no all-star bursts. How's he going to be a Hall of Famer? He will be a Hall of Famer if they win this championship because he is the number two guy, and he is their closer.
Yeah.
All right, and the reason he hasn't made all-star teams, we all know he's an all-star caliber player.
Oh, yeah.
One, he has been banged up. Yeah. He misses games in the regular season. I remember one year, I think it was 2020 or 21, where he missed about 10 games before the All-Star break. So stuff like that's hurt him. And also he's been in the West, where the guards have been incredibly deep.
Yeah.
And so those are reasons he hasn't been an All-Star. I would think if they win this championship, maybe even if they don't, next year he'll be one of those guys you pencil in, assuming he's healthy, that, he's an automatic, right? He's got to make the team. But this guy is incredible. His toughness last night to override the organization and say, I'm playing. And, Colin, he wasn't out there limping. He wasn't out there grimacing. Yeah. He wasn't out there making sure everybody knew I'm playing banged up. If you hadn't heard about it before, right? There are guys that do that. I won't name names, but some of them are in these playoffs or were in these playoffs until last night. And they're always grimacing and making sure I'm not 100%, so don't blame me when I don't get it done. That wasn't Murray. I loved it.
Yeah, Eli Manning's a Hall of Famer, and you have to contextualize it. He wasn't a great regular season quarterback, but he beat Brady and Belichick in 2 Super Bowls on 2 last-minute drives. That's a Hall of Famer. If Jamal Murray gets 2 titles and he's the shot maker at the end, it's Eli Manning. To me, it's always been when you win your games, not the amount of wins, but when do you win them. In the NBA, you win in May and June, you're a Hall of Famer, so I'd put him in. Okay, the KD legacy thing is fascinating. So, we all know he's a great player, but I was talking to Nick Wright about this earlier, is I do watch basketball and I do watch careers, and it does your decisions. LeBron's been a very good decision maker. He goes to Pat Riley and Spoelstra, he wins. He goes back home to clean his brand up with Kyrie, he wins. He goes to the Lakers, gets AD, great teammate, he wins. I think he's going to stay in LA. We'll get to that in a second. KD left the dynasty, like the Kansas City Chiefs, and said, I want to go to the Jets. And it's like, what are we doing? So I look at Brooklyn and Phoenix, and I'm like, bro, you were living in the penthouse. You went to a remodel. You went to a teardown. How do I view KD now?
First of all, I think that's a great comparison. The contrast between him and LeBron. You're right. Everything LeBron's done, even from his, high school friends and Maverick Carter and Rich Paul and helping them become moguls in their own right. His decision-making has been incredible, and Kevin Durant's has almost been the opposite. Look, the best thing would have been if he had been able to stay in OKC and win championships. Now, he may not have won there. I think there's a lot of evidence that he would never have won a championship had he not gone to Golden State. So let's say, okay, that was a good decision. The bad decision, and I got to be honest, at the time, I felt I understood why he left Golden State. A lot of people were looking down at those titles. They were putting mental asterisks by the championships, and he wanted to prove I can do it elsewhere. Well, he hasn't been able to, so now you have to suffer the consequences. Had he stayed in Golden State and had what would he have now? 4?
Yeah.
Maybe 5, well, let's say 4 titles.
Yeah.
People are arguing whether or not he's a top 10 player of all time. Now that's Steph. He would be ahead of Steph if he had stayed in Golden State, but now Steph's ahead of him historically. At this point, Colin, I don't expect much from Kevin Durant other than 20-something points a game. I don't expect him to lead a team to a championship. He is a great scorer. He's not a great rebounder, defender, passer. He's good in those areas, but not great. He's a scorer. And his career, look, he could still go somewhere. I don't know where you're going to be able to trade him with his contract and things like that. But I just, at this point, I wasn't all that surprised. I'm not one wringing my hands. Oh, my gosh, KD got eliminated. I don't really expect much anymore from KD from a winning standpoint. I know he's going to put up numbers.
Isn't that interesting? Jaylen Brunson is now the best player in that series with Philadelphia. And we can bang on Embiid, but I'd rather talk positively about Jaylen Brunson. There's going to be a number two. Leon Rose is going to go find a number two for him because he's the one. He's the dog. He's the quarterback. He's the alpha. I think he's established himself as the guy. He doesn't need to take a backseat to anybody. He needs to go get a big, more offensive firepower than maybe Julius Randle. Yeah. Is there a name out there for him in New York to couple with?
That's a good question because I agree. I think he is a leader. You want to bring in a guy, though, that's not going to take the ball away from Jaylen Brunson. And Julius Randle kind of would do that, have the ball in his hands. A perfect guy, ironically, we were just talking about it. He's older, maybe too old. But Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant is the type of guy you can drop, right? You could drop into New York.
Yeah.
He wouldn't disrupt Jaylen at all. He'd give you 25 to 30 points a night, and Jaylen would be the leader.
Yeah.
KD's not that strong personality that's going to lead a franchise, and that's fine. But Jaylen would be that. So, but outside of KD, I mean, Donovan Mitchell, there could be a power struggle there, right? You know, he's used to being the guy and having the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you on that. So I don't know. At this point, it's going to be interesting. They have to be careful, though, because a lot of guys they would go for, you might have to give away OG Anunoby and maybe another critic, a Josh Hart maybe. You want to keep Anunoby. There's no doubt about it. So you have to be careful that you don't wreck your core when you go for that second guy, that star.
Okay, so the word is now The Athletic says Darvin Ham's going to get fired. Let's address that first. Darvin Ham, what are they saying in the league? I think of all their problems, it's their bench. It's D'Lo. It's Rui disappears. I don't think he's number one, but your guess is it LeBron pressuring the Lakers to move off him?
I don't know if it's LeBron. It seems like from all the reporting you see, it seems like he's lost that locker room. But I think it's the players pointing fingers. I think it's the players ducking blame. How bad was he when they went to the Western Conference Finals last year in his first year?
Yeah.
Right? So I just think that this happens with LeBron's teams, right? When they don't win, they look for scapegoats. And I'm not saying it's him, but the organization looks for scapegoats. I'm not saying Darvin Ham was Michael Malone, but this is a scapegoat.
Yeah. I don't think LeBron's going to leave L.A. I think he gets along with AD. His business is here. Mediterranean weather. LeBron's lived in Cleveland. I think he likes it here. I think he's going to stay here. What say you?
I agree. He's not going anywhere. He's smart to leave it open to put pressure on the franchise. I think they'll draft Bronny, and I think LeBron will stay there.
All right.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. All right, Brew, it's great seeing you. Those games have been unbelievable. That last hour and a half last night was stuff for the ages. It's great seeing you. First things first after us. Thanks, buddy, for stopping by.
All right, Colin.